1800s. The Lumiere brothers were the very first filmmakers. In February 1895 they invented the cinematograph, which had three functions. It could record, develop and project. In March 1895 they recorded the first ever film, Arrival of a Train. These films were called actualities. They were short, single-shot films with a stationary camera, and they were all around 1 minute long. 1900s. In 1902, Georges Méliès created one of the most influential films in cinema history. A Trip to the Moon was the first film with editing techniques such as cutting and dissolves and jump cuts. This would change the future of editing in cinema. In 1903, Edwin S. Porter's film The Life of an American Fireman made it clear that there could be narratives in films. He was one of the first filmmakers to use the cross-cutting editing technique. This is so he can tell a story and show action is taking place in 2 or more different locations. This was all edited in camera. His later film, The Great Train Robbery, had the biggest impact on the future of cinema. The editing techniques used in this film were cutting and jump cuts. This film had 14 scenes. The cutting would be used to create meaning to the audience. The cinematography consisted of exterior and interior shots of the train, making the audience understand that what was happening was part of the sequence. In 1908, the first animation was created and was composed of over 700 drawings, all of which slightly different from the last. This would allow future animations to be made. In 1920, Lev Kuleshov inserted footage of an actor's face with a blank expression with other footage of random objects or people. This was to create an illusion to the audience that they thought there was an emotional response on the actor's face when it was just the same footage repeated. This was also known as juxtaposition. 1925. Sergei Einstein created Battleship Potemkin. This film revolutionised the arts of visuals in cinematic storytelling. The scene that did this was the massacre scene, which consisted of a montage of close-ups of faces and weapons and objects, and long shots, all fairly fast-paced. In under 5 minutes, there were over 155 different camera shots. The editing was so good that it made the audience believe that this was actually happening. In 1940, chroma keying was invented. It was first developed in the 1930s, however it was known as the blue screen. Chroma keying was first used to create special effects for the film The Thief of Baghdad.
For you, this is the last moment of your life.
My life?
Your life.
The way we used to edit films consisted of physically cutting, then taping the pieces of film together to create a sequence of shots, then viewing it on a device such as a Moviola. You would view it to take a look at the results. In the 70s, videotape editing was introduced, and it involved copying footage from one tape to the master tape. This took up so much time, and if you messed up or forgot to insert a shot, you would have to restart the editing process all over again. Non-linear editing was introduced in the 90s, and you could edit digitally. This has brought us to the editing software that we use today. Millions of people are using Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, iMovie and Pinnacle.